Got a bit of incredibly worrying casual racism by a police officer to talk about. This is about a part-time deputy at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office in Michigan, has apparently now been fired after depicting Vice President-elect Kamala Harris as a watermelon in a racist Halloween Facebook post. You're seeing below the person's identity is being protected. I guess I understand that. It bothers me still, but you're seeing there the image. They had the pumpkins, and then for Kamala Harris, they had to have a watermelon. And since this has come out, this person who had been a part-time employee working as a deputy has been fired. But think about this: that's on Facebook. That wasn't like they just thought it or something. They were so proud of this. A cop was so proud of this racist meme that they posted it for all of their friends and family members to see. It just boggles my mind, Jason.
I'm not surprised, John. Look, racism in 2020 has stopped surprising me because people are so blatant with it. It used to be overt and very sinister and it was very covert. I apologize. Now people are just openly calling people the N-word, openly putting up pictures of themselves in blackface. They don't care. And racism was so blatant to me also by the amount of red I saw on the map during the election. And not saying that everyone voted was racist, but we know that the base they have tendencies to lean that way. So to your point, I'm not shocked by this. And as a black man who's experienced racism my whole life, there's a malaise to it. The older you get, it's like, well, yeah, okay, cool, right. Yeah. And it was a watermelon. I could see if because the stereotype is all black people like fried chicken, grape Kool-Aid, and watermelon, which I do absolutely love fried chicken and watermelon. However, I do know some black people who don't. Okay. Yes. Al Sharpton does not eat watermelon because he says it's too sugary, and he's very black. So this person had to intentionally put this up there, and I wish they shouldn't protect people's identity. Because if you are that ballsy to post something like that on a social media platform, obviously that's going to show who you are. Then the media should be like, this is the person who did it. There are people on social media now which is really cool. They're asked these citizens are sleuthing these racist people and exposing them there where they work, all their social medias, everything. It's incredible. It's incredible. These, again, watchdogs are not having it either. So to your point, I'm not surprised by this, but I'm glad that he was dealt with. Good for the removal.
I believe from some of the context, I believe it was actually a woman. Now, it doesn't really change the story at all, but I believe it was a woman.
They were dealt with, just to cover the whole.
Exactly. There you go. I'm a bit torn on the identifying, just because obviously there are crazy people in America. And in theory, there could be death threats or whatever. I would be a little bit less worried in this case because the sorts of people who do those death threats and are wild and crazy are the people putting these memes up, not the people criticizing these memes generally. So I think that they would probably be okay. They'll probably get hired at a different police station and get a raise. But the reason that I wanted to include this story is this is like, what you just said is totally true about how casual and explicit and just totally accepted the racism has become. But at the same time, all of the representatives of that movement say that it doesn't exist and that America is still not a racist country at all. That you could just have a cop who just casually shares publicly racist memes. And this is like a sort of a story. I found it was a local news story had it. I found it, I think, on Raw Story. But this is what some cops think. And think about all the interactions that cop has had with people in his or her or their community. But we're supposed to pretend none of it exists. It's all made up. Black Lives Matter is lying about it. They're exaggerating. People on Fox News who make millions of dollars a year will say that this sort of stuff doesn't exist. And it's just casual. It's just out there, and it's apparently comfortable and generally encouraged. That person, was that the first racist meme they ever shared? Sort of doubt it at this point, as old as they were. I don't know, the whole thing just makes me sick.
Me too, John. And here's the thing about racist to me. I would, and I hate to use the word respect because it's like I'm giving some kind of validity to a racist, but I would respect a racist person more if they came out and flat out said, and I've said this on TYT as well, that I am racist. I don't like you because you're black. fine. Because you as an adult, I may not agree with your viewpoints. I may not agree with what you believe in. However, you have the option to believe whatever you want. And you being a racist, not you, of course, hypothetically, this person doesn't affect my life. It's when they lie about it. It's when they get more, they're more covert about it, or they deny that it exists. There's books and movies and deep and copious documentation of racism in our country for people to act like it doesn't exist even now. Generations and generations of racism and racist activity has trickled down into millennials and Gen Z, and they've found more clever ways to be racist. The microaggressions have become macroaggressions with, I would say, with a more, the ingenuity people have cultivated and erected to be racist is like, I can't even fathom it. So yes, racism is real, and all these people on Fox News and people who are not of color, not of marginalized groups, feel that, oh well, how, but where? Well, you are not Black. You are not you are not the person who's being victimized by racism. So of course you don't see it. But if you stop and listen to someone who does move to the world in those marginalized groups, you will realize that it's very real, and the stories that they tell are very real. They're incredibly real. They're viscerally real.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.